Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We, the Sinex Group, would like to welcome all of you to the India HSE Summit 2021. We would like to take this opportunity and platform to thank all of you for your support, our honorable speakers, delegates, and sponsors for supporting and believing in the India HSE Summit 2021. We have received great response across the industry on the India HSE Summit, and I'm glad to announce that today we are on board with over 1,700 plus participants for this summit. I welcome all the delegates who have taken out their time from a busy working Friday, all of our sponsors and partners who have trusted and supported us in this summit, and all of our honorable speakers who have agreed to share their knowledge in this beautiful platform. I would like to thank our partners and sponsors for supporting us. In the order of the sequence, our presenting partner, Benchmark ESG GenSuite, business development partner, Sagar Asia, exhibit partners, NeoSafe, Udyogi, New Edge, corporate partners, The Safety Master, KEL Worldwide Safety, HackLab Solutions, Tata Communications, EHS Guru, and Momentum India. The India HSE Summit brings in all the industry chieftains of the HSE in India under one platform to discuss on the best practices and innovation in the HSE domain. Now, I would like to say a few words about Sinex Group. Sinex is one of the world's leading platform of opportunity for our delegates, speakers, exhibitors, sponsors to interact, network, and learn cutting-edge solutions under one platform. To begin the proceedings of the day, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, Mr. Naveen GV, Managing Director from Benchmark ESG GenSuite, our presenting partner. Now, before I call Naveen on the stage, a few words about Naveen. Naveen has more than 20 years of experience in identifying valuable digital opportunities, helping global organizations implement and manage efficient EHS, ESG, sustainability, and risk management programs. He is currently the managing director and executive business development for Benchmark Digital. In his earlier role, Naveen was the EHS leader at GE Global Research Center at Bangalore. Naveen has a master's degree in environmental engineering and is a lead auditor for ISO 14001 Environmental Management System RC 14001 Responsible Care Management Systems and a key driver in Benchmark's ESG's transformational journey. So, with that, I would like to introduce Naveen to the India HSE Summit.
Hey, thanks, Soumya. I think it's definitely a pleasure to be back and to be speaking at the stage. And glad that you have a massive audience today. And kudos to you guys in making the pandemic really worthwhile for a lot of us in engaging. Because obviously, if you had it on a live conference or a stage venue, you wouldn't have got the kind of participation. So I think the webinar is definitely helping. So let me share my screens real quick here. Please confirm if you do see my screen showing up. Right, hopefully you guys can see my screen.
We can. You're perfectly, the screen is visible, Naveen.
Thanks, Soumya, again. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining all of us in a wonderful conference to share ideas and to learn from some of the best practices that we have speakers speaking at. As part of my keynote, what I kind of intended sharing are some of my thought processes around what's shaping environment, health, and safety and ESG as a function, and to give you some insiders into what's coming our way. So one aspect that I realized earlier this week when I was doing a training with the Antenna Group in the US on media is when a senior journalist really brought up this point that while businesses build their brand starting up and they make it into a brand that's hugely recognized across the world, but from then on, I think the brand is truly owned by not the business, not the company, but by its employees, by its consumers, by its suppliers, and so on and so forth. And that kind of got me thinking to really kind of take a step back and really look at, yeah, that's actually really true in today's time. And we as environment, health, and safety sustainability and ESG professionals have a huge role to play in making that brand go soar higher, as well as in ensuring that the brand continues to be recognized the way it is performed over the last several years for each of our businesses. I think I'd like to draw a comment also from what I read about ITC. Mr. Sanjeev Puri, in his comment earlier, mentioned about the fact that ITC as a group does not really want to make ESG a process or a procedure, but it wants it to be a culture that is across its employees, consumers, suppliers, and make their key functions, which is manufacturing, procurement, supply chain, a part of the overall, I would say, value chain in driving ESG for ITC as a business. And that kind of resonated with what I learned earlier this week. And from that perspective, what I thought I'd like to cover in the 10 minutes I have is obviously some themes around what is the COP26 taught us as an industry for environmental and safety professionals? Where are we in the ESG scenario in India? Some emerging environmental health and safety topics that obviously as professionals we got to be aware of and obviously plan towards it. And lastly, how does really digitization that we at Benchmark ESG Gen Suite do best really help in boosting environment, social, and governance performance, right? So with that, I think a lot of news has passed over COP26. I'm sure a lot of you have read. I truly love what our Prime Minister committed in terms of going net zero. I think I have that on the next slide. But beyond that, one key development from a sustainability standpoint that emerged from this is the fact that an International Sustainability Standards Board, ISSB is what it's called, has been formed that really provides a platform for a uniform measurement of ESG and EHS KPIs across the world, right? So today, if you look at, and I spoke to this last year, or not last year, earlier this year at the SYNNEX event as well, is we have several frameworks for ESG and sustainability reporting, right? From GRI to CDP, to our own, to TCFD and SASB. But ISSB aims to really unify all of that and provide us with one single global baseline to report on, which is a great move from what I think, and obviously businesses also will recognize that as well. And lastly, I think the point here is EHS professionals, like I mentioned earlier, have the advantage to lead the organizations in ESG success, right? And it's never too late. While a lot of us in the room might be safety professionals, might have lots of degrees around on certifications around safety and occupational health and so on and so forth, but all of us have an active role to play because over 70% of the metrics in ESG are driven by us. When I say us, it's environment, health, and safety professionals, and technology can be a huge role to play in this. One other leading point from the COP26 is obviously the fact that climate change is a major risk that is addressed globally, and businesses that have a plan for climate change and for emission reductions will definitely find the money. Like our Prime Minister Modi has also requested the global countries, is the fact that we need about $3 trillion in terms of money to go into technology that can really help us meet our targets of net zero by 2070. Right, so money is available as long as we have a strategy to pull in the right direction. So like I pointed out, I think our government decision to go net zero has drawn huge applause globally. And obviously, I think government will back industry in shaping that particular target that we have announced. And I think we see at the bottom a lot of insights into what several businesses obviously some are customers of us, some are prospects that we've been talking to help them digitize environment, safety, social, and governance. And they've kind of laid out their action plans over the next 20, 30 years, which really points to the fact that climate change is going to be a major risk and a barrier for businesses to work on, right? And to really kind of come out of what they can do best in terms of sustaining their businesses and meeting commitments. One other point I'd like to draw here is the is the aspect of greenwashing. Greenwashing is a new terminology that I came across as well, and it kind of comes around the fact where certain businesses have made claims that they really don't stand to, and regulators in SEBI, SEC, and the EU have really pointed to the fact that these are going to be hugely, I would say, scrutinized in terms of the reportings that are put out by the businesses, because a lot of that are today mandatory across many regions, including in India as well, with the BRSR that I will touch on next. Right. So from the environment, social, and governance standpoint in India, like I mentioned, and I draw a comment from Vedantrix down here, is ESG is an emergent EHS trend, right? And which is why I'm kind of stressing on the fact that we as EHS professionals have a major role to play, as ESG is now the buzzword in the industry and in the C-suite today. And what I think BRSR has kind of SEBI, which is led in forming the BRSR guidelines, which is the business responsibility and sustainability reporting. The next generation of BRR, which was just business responsibility reporting, they've included the terminology of sustainability now, which is now a mandate for the top 1,000 listed companies in the country from the next financial year, which is a major move. And I think a lot of our prospects, customers that we're speaking to, are aligning their programs around what they can report under BRSR. But at the same time, I think several waves are being made by Indian companies around the ESG standpoint. You could see some tidbits from Infosys, from Tata Chemicals, and several others who've joined the Dow Jones Sustainability Index as well as and have been invited because of their performance in ESG. On the emerging topics of environment, health, and safety, I think what I'd like to draw, which I read across and also hear a lot of prospects talking to us, is the fact of zero harm. I'm leading a panel with industry leadership later in the day today, and we will touch on zero harm, safety culture, and how to really build that. We have some great speakers coming to it who will share a lot more around these aspects. To then using predictive modeling, I know this has been a highfalutin thing for several years, where business really want data to predict where the next incident is going to happen or where the next event is going to happen. And now with machine learning, with AI, I think there are possibilities of how we can do that. I think Chandan and Ninad from our team will present to you the PSI, the potentially severe incident AI advisor that we have developed in Benchmark in their presentation at about 1:30 or so, right? To the last point really being mental health and well-being. An outcome of COVID has really put this under the forefront right now, while the subject of mental health and well-being across the world has kind of been out for a long time. I remember 10 years back when I went to an Australian conference in Sydney or Melbourne, I think this was one of the major subjects that were discussed out there. And now I find that working from home, working in the environment that we were in COVID or are going to be in further now with Omicron, I think has put a lot of stress and strain on our mental health and well-being, right? And that can really help, not help per se, but drive businesses down in terms of lost mandates, lost motivation, and so many aspects that we as safety professionals always looked at the cost of an incident. But here you will notice that mental health can really drive that down as well. So, which is where occupational health is also going to be a key indicator for us to start thinking around and doing better at. Lastly, but not the least, I think I do have a minute. Digitalization is here to boost ESG performance, and it really provides. I think this is a report that was from FIII, and I'll let you read through it. But the bottom line that I want to talk here is the fact that Data should be an outcome of business processes that a business follows, rather going into, let's say, a Google spreadsheet where you can go and update your data on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis. The sanctity of the data is really going to be challenged by auditors, regulators, when they come to look at reviewing and scrutinizing your data. So having a process dictate the outcome, which is data, is the right way for us to do and to collect ESG reporting data. And obviously, I think we've seen several cases where this has really resulted in very cost-effective, although you might have an investment to bring in a digital platform, but over the run, I think it seemed to have a lot of cost benefit, right? Along with a lot of the other tangible, intangible benefits. This is my last slide. What I'd like to point here is that while the pandemic has hit us bad, but I think the last couple of years, 18 months has been the best for us in terms of implementing benchmark ESG Gen Suite for our businesses globally. Just a few snapshots from the country as well. I think we were fortunate to bring on ITC, Alam Flora, Dr. Reddy's, Kennametal, Seafood Task Force. A lot of them who've implemented solutions to really help them drive ESG performance, and led because of investor requirements that really needed them to step up in how they gather, process, and report out on ESG data. So with that, I think I wish all of you luck in terms of the conference today, and kind of taking some key learnings that we all can take back to organizations to work through. And please stay on. I think this is a great platform for us to collaborate, for us to brainstorm, and to share and learn from best practices. So with that, thanks a lot, guys. Have a good day today.
Thank you so much, Naveen, for that wonderful keynote address, and what a great start to the day to hear from you. I would like to remind all of our attendees and viewers here that Naveen is again joining in a leadership panel. So please stay tuned for that as well. And GenSuite Benchmark ESG are our presenting sponsors, and they are throughout the day available. Their whole team is available. So please get in touch with them and learn more about their offerings and solutions in this particular domain. They do also have exhibit booth. So please do visit their booth to learn more about their offerings. You can download their brochures. You can check their products and catalogs. You can chat with their sales team, and they will give you a specific requirement as per your solutions and as per your needs in the industry. So Naveen, with that, thank you so much for joining in. Always a pleasure to have you. And I look forward to seeing you again in the exclusive CEO panel as well. And, hoping to have a great session again there. Thank you so much for doing the keynote. Wonderful.
Cheers.